Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Today, our group will be presenting on the topic of HTT280, Geography and Culture in Tourism, with a particular focus on the determinants of demand for tourism.
Tourism demand is shaped by various factors. The economic view looks at how price changes affect demand. The geographic view considers how the environment and access influence people's ability to travel. The psychological view focuses on personal motivation for travel.
So as you can see here is level of development. Firstly, I will explain about the traditional society, which is economy now at full potential, producing large numbers of consumers, goods and services. Moreover, new emphasis on satisfying cultural needs.
Preconditions for takeoff means preparing for growth or progress. First, innovative ideas from outside the current system bring fresh perspective that can spark change. Leaders play a key role by recognizing that change is desirable and necessary. This combination of external ideas and supportive leadership creates the right environment for development to begin.
Next point is takeoff. Takeoff stage in level of development represent a crucial phase in development of tourist destination. So here are characteristics of the takeoff stage. One is infrastructure development. This is because there is increases in construction of tourism oriented infrastructure such as hotel, tourism, transportation networks, restaurant and entertainment option. Thus, it also improve accessibility for new or better transportation option to destination for more accessible to a broader range of tourists. Other than that, economic impact also one of the takeoff stages characteristic. Economic growth and investment has an impact in this stage because tourism become as an economic driver for becoming the contributor to a local or regional economy for generating tax revenue and foreign exchange earning. Both government and private sector investment increases to support and sustain tourism development. This include for infrastructure, marketing campaign and business development. Lastly, in takeoff characteristic, there is a broadening in demand. This is causes by the high growth in demand driven both domestic and international tourists, and also mass appeal to the destination that starts to attracting a wide range of tourists due to increases awareness, marketing effort or word of mouth.
Next, the drive is maturity. Industrialization continues in all economic sectors with a switch from heavy manufacturing to sophisticated and diversified products. The drive is maturity are more countries and regions start to focusing on tourism.
Lee is high mass consumption. The traditional land-owning aristocracy historically had power through vast estate. They dominated agriculture economies, relying on peasant labor. Their social status was inherited, maintaining political and cultural influence. Over time, industrialization reduced their dominance. Today, they often engage in heritage tourism, opening estate to the public and offering culture experience.
I want to present to you about population factors. There has 4 phases in population factor. I will talk about high stationary phases and late expanding phases. Razak will talk about the other 2 phases. Okay, firstly, high stationary phase is correspond to many of the least developed countries in the third world, marked by high rates of birth and death, suggesting that the population is either static or expanding slowly. Since modern treatment has not yet been able to reduce the prevalence of communicable disease, mortality is high. A poor diet and unstable food supply also contribute to famine, which increases susceptibility to illness. High death rates are also caused by poor sanitation, handling of waste, and a lack of clean water. Since there is a little to no family planning, parents has as many children as they can because few of them grow up to be adults, which result is high fertility. And lastly, high families are also supported by their belief and cultural custom as well as the usual economic environment in rural community which requires a high number of children to work the land.
The population factor of low stationary phase are referring to a stage where tourism demand stabilizes at relatively low level due to population-related factors such as characteristic of low stationary phase in tourism demand are the birth and death ratio have been stabilized to a low level. This is due to an aspect of in areas with decline population, especially in rural areas, tourism demand might at a lower level, thus fewer people may be available to travel, leading to a plateau in tourism demand.
For late expanding phase is fall in the birth rate route in the growth of an industrial society and advance in birth control technology. Urbanization and industrialization minimize the need for work and are linked to shift in socio-economic priorities, prioritizing consumption. Additionally, with family planning or contraception usually easily accessible, the increased cost of living in the city supports smaller families. And lastly, peak growth rates are being reached by the entire population.
Next is about early expanding phase. This phase is a stage in the development of destination or tourist market where there is gradually but noticeable increase in tourism activity, such as high birth rate and death rates in lowest rate due to improved health driven by growing infrastructure of tourism and
The
healthcare.
factor of demand for tourism is political influences, and one of the effects is political complexion. There are three characteristics, which is conservative administration, socialist administration, and democracies. For conservative administration, it refers to free market and act to nurture an environment in which the tourism industries can flourish. On the other hand, socialist administration means involvement in tourism often provide opportunities for these disadvantages to participate in tourism. And the last one is democracies, which is controls levels of propensity for travel abroad by limiting the amount of foreign currency that can be taken out of a country.
Second effect is political groupings, and the characteristic is groupings of countries. It can increase facilitation of travel between grouping members. For example, member countries of the European Union, they committed to the effective abolition of border control and single currency to boost demand for intra-European travel.
Effect of political influences is deregulation. The characteristic is deregulation of transportation, which is an initiative to reduce fares, thus increase demand for travel and increase efficiency of the sector, which again acts to boost demand through lower prices and higher quality.
The last effect of political influences, which is political instability. Unstable political environments adversely affect tourism, not simply in specific regimes where civil disorder or war is prevalent, but also with the increased threat of terrorist attacks in this century. Tourism demand has been adversely affected across the globe.
First one from lifestyle determine is income. The first one is gross income. Next is disposable income. And lastly is discretionary income. So, what is gross income? Gross income is total amount earned, give little indication of the money available to spend on tourism. We can say it from salary or from job-oriented income. Next is disposable income. Disposable income is money that actually reach the public's hand to dispose of as they please. Lastly is discretionary income. Discretionary income is income left over when tax, housing and the basic of life have been accounted for.
The slide highlights the impact of educational attainment on travel. It explains that education expands people's horizons, making them more interested in traveling. Educated individuals are more likely to be influenced by information, media, advertisement, and promotion, which increase their desire to explore and travel.
Next is holiday entertainment. The number of one-day national holiday can influence lifestyle determinants such as leisure time, work life, balance and opportunities for tourism. This holiday vary by country and can affect how people allocate their time for relaxation and recreation. Annual paid holiday entertainment determined by law or collective agreement significantly affect lifestyle by influencing work-life balance, leisure activities and personal well-being. It varies by country and can include minimum day off, additional day, and impact on lifestyle.
Employment affects tourism demand. Higher unemployment and job insecurity lead to conscious spending, with people booking trips later. This results in more domestic travel, visit to friends and relatives, VFR, shorter stays, and lower spending on trips. People are choosing familiar, affordable travel options due to uncertainty.
Lastly is personal mobility. Car ownership influence on travel propensity, especially with regard to domestic holiday. Let's say Sarah owns a car and live in a suburban area. Car ownership allow her to flexibility to plan spontaneous trip. Sarah can decide last minute to visit nearby attraction or countryside location. Second is travel comfortably. She can carry more luggage and travel at her own pace.
Life cycle determinants, and I will talk about the first life cycle in domestic age, adolescent or young adult, need for independence and a search for identity. Holidays independent of parents begin at around 15 years, constrained by lack of finance, by compensated by having few others commitment. No shortage of free time and a curiosity for a new place and experience. Has a high propensity to travel, mainly on budget holidays using surface transport and self-catering accommodation. Seen as opinion leaders, the tourism sector actively seek their customer, hoping to gain their loyalty in later years. Young travelers, though restricted by relative low level of disposable income, are commonly having high interest and leisure time in exploring new destinations. Lastly, it has been found that young travelers have high expectations regarding the importance of value for money, though they have their financial resources available for traveling.
When young couples get married, they often have higher incomes and fewer responsibilities, which allow them to travel more, including trips overseas. As their children grow older, they gain more freedom with time and finances, making it even easier for them to travel.
From my personal view, the aging population has bigger impact to tourism demand, especially in domestic market. This is because people in their retirement years has the time flexibility that allow them to take a longer trip and travel more frequently because they are longer constrained by the work schedule. Financially stability, many of the retirees has some form of pension, saving or retirement benefit that allow them to afford travelling, and lastly, health and wellness. In this generation, generally retirees are healthier and more active than previous generation. Due to that, retirees in their 50s and 90s may be still in good physical shape.
Next, I want to present to you about factors of lifestyle determinants. Firstly, intrinsic, it refers to motivation that comes from within an individual, driven by personal satisfaction, interest, or enjoyment in the task itself, rather than by external rewards or pressures. When someone is intrinsically motivated, they engage in activities because they find them fulfilling or meaningful. For example, someone may choose to learn a musical instrument simply because they enjoy the challenge and the process, not because they are promised a prize or external reward.
Extrinsics being a peer group consists of individuals who share common characteristics, age, social status, or interests. The influence of peers is particularly strong during adolescence and young adulthood, but can affect individuals of all ages. Peer groups share behavior, values, attitudes, and decisions through social interaction, shared experience, and social pressures.
Wanderlust, simply curiosity to experience to strange and unfamiliar. It refers to the basic trait in human nature to see, at first hand, different places, cultures, and peoples. Status and prestige motivators will be included under this heading.
Lastly is sunlust. Sunlust refers to the search for a better set of amenities for recreation than are available at home.
Cohen classification of tourism. Institutionalized tourism are form of tourism that is highly structured and organized by established institutions such as government, travel agency, and large tourism corporation. In the context of geography of tourism demand, it highlights how tourism is shaped and influenced by institutions that manage, promote, and regulate tourist activities, structures, and destination. It's been dealt with routinely by the tourism industry, especially by the tour operator, travel agent, hoteliers, service provider, and transport operator.
So for non-institutionalized tourism refers to travel that is not organized by formal institutions or agencies, meaning it typically occurs outside the framework of traditional tourism infrastructure. This type of tourism is characterized by more personalized, independent, and often spontaneous experiences where travelers may design their own itineraries, choose unique destinations, and avoid mainstream tourist attraction.
The organized mass tourist. The person doesn't like taking a risk and prefer to stay safe and comfortable. They feel nervous about leaving their usual surrounding when traveling. Instead of exploring on their own, they buy a pre-planned tour. This way, they don't have to interact much with local culture or people.
Secondly, the individual mass tourist. Similar to the above, more flexibility and scope for personal choice are built. However, the tour is still organized by the tourism industry, and the environmental bubble shields him or her from the real experience of the destination. This kind of traveler wants family cuisine, family option for lodging, and the ability to converse in a language they are familiar with. The average mass traveler, however, are not limited by things like group tours and activities, while they can use a local tour guide or book their vacation through a travel agency. They will usually choose a solo travel over group tours.
Next, the explorer. The trip is organized independently and is looking to get off the beaten track. However, comfortable accommodation and reliable transport are sought, and while the environmental bubble is abandoned on occasion, it is there to step into if things get tough.
A drifter is a traveler who avoids mainstream tourism, preferring to get as far from home and familiarity as possible. They have no fixed itinerary and instead live among locals, immersing themselves in the local culture and paying their way independently. This type of traveler seeks deep culture experiences away from traditional tourist hubs.
Tourism demand is shaped by economic, social and political factors. Economic factors include tourist income level, financial stability and travel costs. Change like currency rates and employment also impact travel decisions.